Everyone, this is Abigail with Sparkle and Shine Guidance, and today we're going to be talking about steps in our evolution. Now, this is the theme that comes from Evolutionary Astrology, the South Node. Okay, I want to talk about Pluto squaring the nodes, how rare it is, and what cycle it highlights. So this systems way, we don't just see the one piece. We don't just see like Venus retrograde. We see the whole picture. We see all of the cycles of Venus. We see everything. So when we're looking at something such as the nodes squaring Pluto, we want to understand, well, when was it that Pluto came into the picture with this nodal cycle? When was it that the nodes came into the picture with Pluto in the cycle? So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at what this means in the chart and what this means for you personally and then for the collective. Have this energy of skip steps highlighted for the collective, because remember that Pluto, and this is why it's so significant if you were born with Pluto squaring the nodes in your chart. It means that you're a carrier, because Pluto is it's such an outer planet. It's not even, it's gone back and forth between being known as a planet and being known as not a planet, being kicked off of the planet list. It is smaller than Ceres. Ceres is considered an asteroid, so not a planet. So you can take it how you want. But Pluto's still significant in the chart, and really he represents your generation. When we look at this, we have to understand that for whatever reason, if you are born with this Pluto square the nodes, for whatever reason, you have a significant role in your generation for transmutation, transformation, healing, integration, transmuting pain into power. So it's a powerful thing to have it in your chart, but it also has that responsibility piece to it, and you can feel the weight. There's a lot of like weightiness to this, having this transit in your chart, and because of that, that weight forces you to go back and do the steps that you skipped in past lifetimes and past incarnations. So that's if you were born with that, okay? And it's not punishment. It's just the way it is. And so when that heaviness is on you, it forces you to do the work to become the alchemist, to alchemize that heaviness back to levity. And with the South and the North Node, the South Node is our collective past, it's lessons, it's the karma point. And we wouldn't have a South Node in our chart if it wasn't important, right? The North Node is our Dharma. It's where we're meant to be like striving towards, but it doesn't mean that we're supposed to totally leave behind our South Node. So it's really important to understand that in your chart, and to understand that if you are looking at your chart and you're looking at the North and South Node, you're not meant to just leave the South Node behind. You're meant to incorporate those lessons, and do that work around your karma and clean it up in this lifetime. So there are times in your life where, especially when you're getting transits to the South Node, you're meant to be doing more of that work in the South Node arena. So when we have a time in the collective where we have Pluto squaring those nodes, it's going to highlight the collective heaviness. It's going to highlight different themes and things that we are all in together, and how it's coming up for you personally is going to be defined by where is Pluto in your chart right now, where is the 29th degree of Capricorn in your chart, and where are those last degrees of both Libra and Aries. Now, most importantly, with this specific transit, not with any time, but just with this specific transit, is looking to where that South Node point is in your chart. So what we're talking about here is the South Node in 29 degrees of Libra. Where is that in your chart? It's going to show you where the resolution is for you in particular, in how that plays out in the collective. So when we're looking at this resolution point, why we look to the South Node for this specific transit is because the last time that Pluto was conjunct, so the cycle where it started from, Pluto was conjunct the South Node back in April of 2019. That started a new cycle. When two planets are conjunct each other, they're starting a new cycle, and then it goes around, and then we have these different transits getting hit up, right? So we started the cycle back in April of 2019 with the South Node conjunct Pluto. It ignited things from our past, the collective past, and it showed us different places where we needed to go in and do some rectification with our past. Now, even more so, we're having that because a square in astrology is a challenge. So we're being challenged to look back at this 29th degree of Libra point in our chart. So looking at what house it's in for you is going to show you the information that's there that you're meant to go back and integrate, untie, untangle, be with, and really own and honor about this area of your chart. So like if it's in the first house, second house, that's what I'm talking about. Looking at this in particular for you. And this cycle will wrap up in 2027. If you know anything about different mystics and different thought philosophies, a lot of talk is about 2027. We are starting a whole new cycle, and that's going to be in Aquarius, which is the future, so it's very telling that this is the midpoint to that. Where we stand right now and the decisions we make and what we choose to integrate and what we choose to do the work around and what we choose to own and what we choose to honor and what we choose to have grace around is going to show us where we're going to go into 2027. And this is for the collective, but of course we each have our own piece in that. We each have our own role in that. So really looking at this for yourself and where this is in your chart. This is why it's such a rich time to do the work with me. So if you're interested in that, I have a couple different things going on right now that I'd love to share more with you on. So definitely click into my profile, get on my mailing list. I share a lot in my mailing list of special offers, special opportunities. And going into the fall, we are going to be starting a live group coaching that I do at least once a year, which is feminine leadership, archetypes, and astrology. We look at where each one of the archetypes of the feminine lives in your chart, how we can activate her, where we can learn from her, and how to do this work all together to rise in the feminine. This is significant because we're talking about Libra, and Libra is Venusian ruled. Libra is the balance of the masculine and feminine. Libra is not just the feminine. Libra is ruled by Venus, but it is an air sign. It is a masculine sign. And so it's that balance of masculine and feminine. And we know that we've been out of balance with the masculine and feminine for a long time. And it is time now for that to come into balance. And in different indigenous cultures, there's talk about the wings of the eagle or the great bird, and that the male wing has been stronger and worked more, and so it's flying the bird in a circle. But once we ignite and activate and get into that feminine wing, both the masculine and feminine wing are strong in different ways, and when we activate both and when we unite both within us, the bird can finally fly again and not circle. That is all purposeful. That we have Venus retrograde exactly sextiling the south node, which is what we're really looking at here. We're really going to be talking about the south node in Libra, and then we have the Venus retrograde also trining the north node, so creating an ease between that opposition point. It's like trying to rectify and trying to help us find ease in that process. So you might be noticing, going back to what I was saying, you might be noticing your own consciousness creating more ease around triggering situations or past traumas, or in your dream time you're resolving certain things that have held you back. There's this really strong push to do the healing work, to do the inner work. This is why it's such a beautiful time to work together. So definitely check out, I have a free masterclass, Invoke Your Inner Oracle, which is all about healing your feminine, all about going in and activating your inner oracle. It's a great time to set up your astrological session with me, astrological somatic coaching session with me. So it's just a good time, whoever you feel like you trust and you can rely on, to work with people that you feel called to at this time, to do your own inner healing work, to journal, to whatever tools you have, to be using them, because the potential is so rich right now. Like the healing energies are so rich. It's kind of like our garden, right? How our gardens are going off. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the bounty and like preserving and just like harvesting everything. The same is true for the richness and the opportune time right now for healing the potential that's there. So it's really interesting. If you know your chart, definitely look at where 29 degrees specifically of Libra is, but we're also looking at where Venus retrograde is happening, where the North Node, where Aries is in your chart, the 29th degree of Aries, and then of course where our chart has been getting worked over the most is in those end degrees of Capricorn. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling like spiritually tired, this is because we've been getting so worked over in these last degrees of Capricorn. So wherever that is in your chart, definitely understand and know that this is the last like final swing to that area of your chart. So instead of looking at it as I'm so tired of dealing with these things, look at it as this is the wrap up of these things. In this year, we will be moving out of, into 2024, we'll be finally moving out of this area of our chart for quite a while, a long, long, long time. We won't see Pluto in the sign, of course, again in our lifetimes. Of course, we'll get other transits to this Capricorn, but nothing will feel as heavy and as debilitating as we've felt in these last 3 years. Okay, so honor yourself, honor what you've been through, what you've learned, and it's really important to do that, because as we're moving forward into this age of Aquarius and all of this Aquarius movement, if we're carrying the baggage and the luggage of these last few years into that, it's going to significantly hinder our development in that area. 72 and 83. So 1972 and 1983, you were born with Pluto in Libra. So not only are we getting the South Node activating this point in our chart, but for many of us, we're going to also have that South Node conjunct our Pluto and really activating Pluto. So understand and know that. I have a whole other video on the nodes changing signs and the nodes into Aries and Libra that you might want to check out. But understand that Libra is really about, no matter what, creating that balance and that inner peace. And sometimes the way that we get there, especially when we're talking about planets such as Pluto or celestial points such as the South Node, is sometimes how we get there, how we get to balance, is knowing and feeling and understanding at a deep level what imbalance is, what imbalance looks like, what codependence looks like, what co-enmeshment looks like, what fear looks like. So know and understand that if you've been on a journey of kind of unenmeshing yourself, finding your own center, finding your own balance, sometimes the way you get there is by going to the other extreme opposite. And one thing that I will say as we're moving into this age of Aquarius and we're moving into this time of so many people on screens, is that we really have to know and honor that we are built for connection and we need connection. And so when we're talking about the South Node in Libra, we really have to understand that there is a piece around it that is about community, that is about honoring, as they talk in the Gene Keys about, is synarchy, is that like we are all kind of like bees. If you've been watching for a few minutes, you'll see every once in a while a bee come by. Bees, that we all work in harmony, the collective. This is how we function, and we are not built to be in isolation, and nor is the work that we are doing individually isolated from the collective. So when you're feeling the heaviness and when you're feeling all alone and when you're feeling whatever you're feeling, just know that it is a part of the bigger picture, and the more that you are in community or the more that you're connecting with others, the more you're going to feel the levity of this density. So definitely I would so encourage you to look at my Feminine Leadership Program. It runs from September to December of 2023. It is a very powerful container to be a part of. It is a channeled work that came through in the spring of 2020 when I was in isolation, living on 30 acres, connecting with the stars and the moon. So I really highly recommend checking it out. I have payment plans available, and if you're interested, reach out if you have any questions. I hope you have a beautiful day. Take good care of yourself, and definitely be gentle with yourself in these next few days. Journal, reach out if you want to work together one-on-one on your astrological chart. Sharp Girl says, thank you for sharing. I'm 1979. Yes, the Pluto awareness, that's deep, very empowering. Yeah, so a lot of us, right? Or if you follow me, a lot of us are born with this transit, and one thing to understand about it is that the South Node is going to kick up all of the memories, the energies of our past. And one of the things about that is that it is there to clear, it is there to finally release. But the Libra and Pluto generation was the first generation where we saw huge masses of divorce, huge masses of separation, and what that did to us internally around understanding a family system, and the breakdown, or the I don't know what to exactly call it, because it's not that it was necessarily a negative thing, because we know that just because parents stay together doesn't mean that it's actually a positive experience for the children. But there was definitely something around the system, and in particular, like the systemization of divorce, that really impacted children born under this Pluto and Libra generation. And because of that, what did that do to our internal navigation system around family, around balance, around justice, and around community? So it's really important to kind of understand that and look for yourself. And one way to do this is to look to your Libra house and see where it is. So for me, it is second to third. So third house is communication, speaking. A lot of the things that I talk about have to do with community, or have to do with finding that balance, that inner equilibrium within yourself. So looking at where this is in your chart is going to help you to understand where you're being called into, like, rectifying or navigating or finding some kind of peace for yourself around your experiences from your childhood, and how to bring that into the justice and balance and peace that you bring to the world. So that's what I'd say about that. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Take good care of yourselves, and thank you for being here.